All right, welcome everybody tuning in for the our first ever virtual Monday lunch. Got Heath Clary here with us, Medina County resident, author, Texas A&M baseball insider, and we're here today to talk about his book, All It Takes Is Everything You've Got. Great book, great endorsements. You got Ross Stripling on the foreword, the major league pitcher, and Gabe Box puts in his good word. That guy probably knows more about Aggie baseball than anyone, and he admits on the back cover here, he's covered baseball for 15 years. Count stories and details from Heath in the book that were brand new to me. This is a must read for any Aggie or fan of college baseball. So pretty high praise to start off. So I guess let's get right into it. Heath, how did you decide while you're going to college that you want to write a book on top of everything else you got going on?
Right. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Logan. Great to be a guest here at the first virtual one. So I was just a student working in sports media for my first 3 years. I worked while I was getting my degree in finance from A&M, just because I had always had a passion for sports. And so going into my senior year, I kind of wanted to take it up a notch with something more serious, more challenging. And so I had built a great relationship with the coaches, I thought. And so I just went to them before the year and I asked them if I could do it, if I could kind of write a book that was an inside story that, would give the audience a picture of something that they don't normally see just in the stands. So, I did that. They opened up the program for me and I wrote the book just like just what happened.
And that's pretty cool. That's like unprecedented access to a program.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that Coach Childress would entrust that to anybody. Was there anything that you weren't able to be a part of, or were you? Did you go? I mean, all the meetings, did you travel with the team? Did you?
Yeah, so I was there for everything. I wasn't able to travel with the team to all the road trips, but all the home games I was at, and some of the road games I was at. And the way I wrote the book, I tried to make it seem like I was at all the road trips, so you can't really tell which ones I wasn't at. But I was able to be there at all times. I did have Coach Childress. He read the book before publishing. And he asked me to take out just a small handful of things, nothing really too deep. But so basically, it's the unfiltered truth of everything I saw. But yeah, I was there in the dugout when there were some very heated meetings during games. As any Aggie baseball fan knows, it was kind of a tough offensive season in the season that I covered. So the hitting coaches would get pretty mad during games because they weren't really hitting very well, and I was there to hear them get chewed out and everything like that. And so it was an amazing experience, as you can imagine.
Well, it's pretty awesome how you chronicle the entire season, but also how you kind of go back and give the whole backstory. I'm a baseball fan, but I didn't know half the history and the stories of where everyone came from, and I guess all the profiles of each coach and player and where they've come from and where they've been. And so it makes for a great read, even if you don't have any backstory. You kind of provide all that and show how Childress really builds a program. And what are you most impressed by with the way Childress runs the show and how he's been able to build such a nice program?
Probably just there's several things. Probably just how it's basically open competition at all times. So no matter if he gets some walk-on players or like blue chip recruits who may have gotten drafted in the professional draft, you all start at the same point when you get to A&M, and you're all on the same playing field, and he's going to play who gives him the most production, regardless of their accolades they may have had coming in. And actually, that's kind of the reason I wanted Ross Stripling to write the foreword. He came in as a walk-on with 12, I think, recruits in his class who they've had scouts drooling over them for a long time. and got scholarships. But Ross was given the opportunity just like they were at the start of fall camp, and he made the most of it, and now he's an All-American and pitching in the big leagues. So that was just, one example of what you can do in the program. And yes, obviously I think very highly of the program.
So Ross, he went to A&M without knowing if he was going to play baseball. Is that correct? He just decided to go walk in and talk to Childress and see if he could play?
Yes. So he actually had a serious leg injury as a junior in high school. So his senior year, he had to pitch because he couldn't move around to play in the field. And he had never pitched before full time. But his senior year, he went 14-0 at South Lake Carroll as a pitcher, and he wore a weird brace on his leg. But still, so late, he didn't have any colleges interested in him other than junior colleges. And he was a good student, and his family had gone to A&M, so he wanted to go to A&M for his education. So one day, him and his dad are at A&M for his new student conference, and they just walk into the baseball stadium because his dad is like, hey, let's go see if the coach is there. And so Ross was like, no, it's going to be awkward. Like, he's not going to want to talk to us because we're just random people. But he went in there, and Coach Childress gave him the time, got to know them, talked to him, heard Ross's story. And he said, hey, we actually have a preferred walk-on spot available if you want it. And so, of course, Ross said yes. He worked really hard through the fall, didn't pitch great, but he dominated in the weight room, was one of the more athletic pitchers, and he did great in the classroom. So all that, he got a spot on the spring team. And by the time he was a junior, he led the nation in wins and was All-American and then became a draft pick. And a few years later made his MLB debut, and he's still a big leaguer for the Dodgers.
That's wild. That's crazy. That's I guess you share a lot of that with Ross as well, walking into the coach's office and just saying, hey, can I write a book about you guys, or can I be involved? And
right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. One of my favorite parts of the book, it was shows. I think it kind of showed me how much you were involved and how you were in tune with what was going on. Is the opening game of the tournament when you called the home run that Dukoff hit.
Oh yeah.
And Childress called it at the same time on the other end of the dugout.
Yep, that was crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because it was a left-handed pitcher, and Dukoff, it always seemed like he hit good against left-handed pitchers, and I was sitting right next to Zach DeLoach, and I said, I think he's gonna hit a home run right here. I'm not even lying. I said this, and Zach said, "Oh, I think he's gonna hit a double in the gap," and sure enough, he hit a home run to left field to, big home run to win the game, and or that wasn't to win the game, but it was to tie the game.
Yeah.
And later after the game, I had talked to Coach Childress, and he said he told another coach the same thing. So I had to include that in the book because I thought it was too good not to.
Yeah, heck yeah, that was a cool story in that. Let's see, that brings us to our first question from one of the members, Richard Delgado Jr., who is going to get a free lunch out of this deal because his question was chosen. It was, what was the most surprising thing you learned about that you learned while writing this book, and how has it impacted your life?
So the surprising thing, I guess I don't know if it's surprising. I guess I'll say just the fact that the coaches trusted me to basically open up the program. And as someone told me, warts and all. So I got to see everything that Childress, the assistant coaches, the players got to do. I was basically on the team. I just didn't play. And so what that meant to me and what I take away from that is, as a person, if you're confident in your own morals, and if you know that you're a good person when you look in the mirror, it doesn't matter if somebody sees you up close or from afar, they're going to come to the same judgment. And so they like the way they run their program. Coach Childress knows that, he runs a clean program, and he didn't care. He did trust me, but I think he was willing to do that because he knew that I was just going to come to the only conclusion, which was that, it's a good program. And also another thing, going along those lines, one of the things you'll learn in the book about Childress is that every time he was faced with a decision in his coaching journey, he always said, I want to go to a place where it's just you look in the mirror and the only person you can blame is the guy in the mirror. And so I take that away to when I start working and when I start moving along in life, like I want it to be up to me, and I want to be in charge of my own life and make sure that I work hard to be successful, just like that is. And so that phrase really stuck out to me.
It seems like that's common with Coach Childress. He likes to seems like he puts things in his players' hands, his team's hands, and trusts them to do their job.
Right.
I think he called like a 3-2 slider with Doxakis, and he struck the guy out, and he said, "Man, takes guts to call that, coach." And he goes, "It takes more guts to throw the pitch than it does to call it," something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, you read the book closely. You remember that.
Man, hey, look, this book has been read. It's used. Look at that. I've read through it a couple times. It's a great book. I know it's just coming from me. I'm not a huge reader. So when I get into a book, I know pretty quick if I'm going to get through it or not. And I've read that cover to cover right when I picked it up. It was very impressive. I think when what were you, 21 when you wrote this? 22 years old?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to get out of writing papers in college. You're writing a book on top of that, which I've got a question for you. How was your grade point average that year while you were covering the team? You were writing a book about the team, and then you still had to go to school.
Well, it's funny because my GPA was actually – I had one of the best semesters or years that I ever had. And so I don't know. I don't think there's a correlation maybe between how much time I spent in the library and my grades. But, my GPA was actually better than it was the semester before. So that was great too.
Man, it just keeps getting more impressive as we talk about it. Let's see. I've got another question. This one is from Ken King, class of 1960, past president of the club. And he would like to know, has A&M or the coaches been involved in any discussion about college baseball players getting paid moving forward? What?
No, they have not. The thing about, obviously that discussion goes on all the time for all sports. But the thing that goes on at the Division I baseball level is, first off, the number of scholarships. They only get 11.7 scholarships for a team of 35. So that is discussed sometimes. But recently, in more current events, there's the discussion about having a third paid assistant coach. Right now, they have the head coach and then 2 paid assistant coaches for 35 to 40 players. And they have a couple of unpaid volunteer or graduate assistants on top of that. But they were really trying to get the third assistant paid coach. And it didn't pass last year when they voted on it. All the athletic directors voted on it. But I'm sure they'll continue to fight for it because a lot of coaches think that's really important.
So that was talked about on an NCAA level or like an SEC level, or? So
it was NCAA, but each conference, I think, gets to decide. Each conference gets to vote. I'm not sure about all the specifics, but I just know that it hasn't happened yet, and hopefully it will, because it's kind of weird that you only have 3 full-time paid assistants for a roster of so many players. Yeah,
definitely. Let's see, we got another question from David Rubenstein, class of 1977. See, the 2020 SEC baseball season is lost. Some A&M players will not get a year of development, and some will be drafted. What will the impact be on the Aggies in 2021?
That's a great question. Several of the seniors, or the seniors that would have been seniors last year, like Cam Blake, Hunter Coleman, and guys like that, have already said they're going to come back. So there's going to be 5 or 6 players that are coming back.
How about Zach? Zach Deloach, is he coming back?
So he's probably not, but we'll have to wait for the draft. I think they're only going to have 5 rounds of the draft this year, and there's usually 40. So, but Asa Lacy will definitely get drafted top 5 overall pick. So he's going to be he's gonna have a lot of money in his pocket after the draft. And then Zach Deloach, I think will get drafted probably the first 2 or 3 rounds, so I would expect him to be gone. And then the wild card is Christian Roa. He's a guy who has a lot of potential because he throws really hard and has a great repertoire, but I think he got hurt because he needed another SEC season to really prove himself to the scouts. So it'll be a decision on if they trust his potential or want to see him more. So he could be potentially back in 2021. But, we'll have some of that experienced seniors back because the NCAA is letting them come back. And so that would be really good for the Aggies.
Awesome. Let's see. I forgot to mention Ken King gets a autographed baseball from Rob Childress that we're giving away, and David Rubenstein gets a copy of your book. So
really?
Hopefully we can still get you into the club. You can sign that book for him. When he gets it. I've got a couple other questions from some guys at the club. Robert Adair, class of '79. He'd like to know who is on your top 3 list of best pitchers all time at A&M. He gave out a couple of examples. Mark Thurman, Hoot Gibson when he was in school. Jeff Granger, you remember him? I think he pitched right-handed and he was our quarterback left-handed. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Really? I didn't know that.
Anyway, he'd like to know what your thoughts are on who are the best pitchers that came through him.
So I guess I'm more biased toward the recent players because I wasn't able to see those guys, but I've heard Granger and also Casey Fossum is a name that gets thrown around a lot. But I'd have to say Asa Lacy is in that top 3 because, he's going to be a top 3 pick. But if I had to name 3, I'd probably say Asa Lacy, Jeff Granger, just because I've seen his stats and they're incredible. And then third, I would probably say Ross Stripling.
Awesome.
He's a guy who led the nation in wins and led them to Omaha. And so when you have both those things going together, plus a productive MLB career, I think he deserves being in that top 3. So those are my top 3 with, several others right on the cusp.
Sure. Let's see. We've got Mandy Scott, past president, class of '87. She'd like to know, do you see more book writing in your future? And if so, what are you thinking about next for your next book?
Yeah, so definitely I want to keep writing books. Once I start a full-time job, it's going to be a little tougher. But my plan is to still write books, like maybe on the weekends or on the side with my free time, because that's just something that I really am passionate about. And probably definitely all about sports. Baseball is my favorite sport, so I can see myself writing more baseball books, but also college football or any other A&M sporting topic that I find interesting could be in the future.
Well, I would agree the best topic to write about is Aggie sports in my mind. But she also wants to know, why the heck are you wearing a purple shirt in your bio picture?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's definitely not to support TCU, but I guess that's just the shirt I picked out on that day. But hey, what I was going to say was, to write another. If more people go to my website, heathclary.com, and buy the book, that will be more incentive for me to write another A&M book specifically.
Heck yeah, definitely. And we'll be promoting it on our website and at the club. And like to still get you in to speak to a Monday lunch crowd and sell some books there.
Definitely.
I think it'd be a great opportunity for you, and we'd love to hear more about it. I appreciate you taking the time out to jump on a call and be in the first ever virtual Monday lunch. It's new, it's exciting. So look forward to more to come, and really appreciate you getting on. And
yeah, no problem, Logan. Was that all the questions?
Yes. Yeah, those were the questions. I mean, I'm trying to, there were some that kind of were, that are kind of go over the same topic. A lot of people wanted to know about compensating student athletes and where we're at with that. I'm in support of that. It's a lot more than just the books to get to school, to pay for room and board. So
yeah, so they actually, the NCAA, I think either they allowed it or they're about to. They student athletes are going to be able to get money on promotions, so they can make money off their name basically. So they wouldn't be paid by the school yet, but it would be kind of, if you're famous in the community, people could pay you for your name as far as like sponsorships and stuff like that. So that might be the first step in that progression.
So Asa could be doing some commercials for the Dixie Chicken or something.
I guess I don't know the specifics, but as you can see from the book, those players put in a lot of time, a ton of time that the average student is not, and so that's the argument that they make for paying players, and they bring a lot of money to the school too, especially over at Kyle Field.
I hope we can have a season to keep that athletic program going, because I think that's about 85% of our programs in the football revenue. I do have another quick question for you about what was the overall feeling of this season? I know we had we lost 3 in a row at the Frisco tournament, but we finished strong. We beat Rice in our last game. Normally it'd be a good thing if I say we hadn't lost a game since March 1st, but we hadn't played a game since March 10th. So what was kind of like the team feeling? Were they excited? Were they I know we're always thinking about making a run late, but was it, can you kind of tell us what the overall mood was with the team?
Yeah, so I think they finished 15-3, but no SEC games, so it's kind of hard to really judge the team. But they were confident that obviously their pitching staff they thought was stocked, mainly with Asa leading the way, and then with several other guys contributing. And the offense hadn't quite gotten going yet, but they had a new hitting coach who they were confident that over time in SEC play they would have figured out offensively. And I think this is probably a team that gets to a super regional, mainly because of the pitching staff. And then if they could get some timely hits, maybe go to Omaha. So I think that's kind of the team that we had this year. And we'll see what happens in 2021 because it'll be a lot different.
Yeah, we've got some good recruits coming in for this next year.
We do, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say, but it's going to be weird, though, because you're going to have your incoming class of recruits plus all the current freshmen who are still going to be freshmen next year. Okay. So I have no idea. You're going to be looking at a roster of like 50 guys. Wow. So that's going to be an interesting thing, how the coaches handle all that, because that's something that they haven't really seen before. So, it's a lot of moving pieces next year, but it'll be an exciting season again, I'm sure.
Do you know when they're going to is there any talk about when they can get back to practicing together or, getting to work on next season? I
really don't. But I would assume at the latest they'd be back during fall ball, like once school starts. In September, I think, is when fall ball starts. But, usually they're up at the field during the summer in June and July doing workouts on their own, like at the facility. They can't work with coaches except for the strength coach. But, I have no idea. Texas is kind of opening up again, so maybe they'll be able to do that. And I hope they are, because you can make a lot of progress on your body in the weight room in the summer in college baseball.
Yeah, a San Antonio native, Jeremy McMillan, our strength coach. Went to high school with that guy.
Exactly. So. You grew up with it. You ever talk to him anymore?
I haven't talked to him. It's been a long time. It's I did not even know he was a strength coach until I read your book.
That's what you said, yeah.
So that was good to find out. I'm glad he's doing well, and it seems like he's really set himself apart in the country with other strength coaches and what he's able to do with our players. So that was great. You even profiled our strength coach, man. It's in-depth coverage, and it's a great book.
So that's kind of one of my goals in the book. I thought, for a diehard sports fan, obviously the inside baseball stuff in game and kind of what they do in practice would be interesting. But I kind of wanted to profile people so you get kind of the human aspect of it, so that someone who might not even be a diehard baseball fan or sports fan will still find the book interesting. And so I think I accomplished that. Profiling the players, coaches, staff who are behind the scenes, instrumental in the team's success that you might not see on a daily basis. And so that's kind of another thing I tried to do with the book.
Definitely. Yeah. And you did a good job with it. It's very well put together. So pretty impressive for 21 years old and going to school, and then to be able to produce something like that. It's pretty awesome. So
thank you.
Look forward to more books to come. And once again, so to buy a copy, it's heathclary.com.
Yes, sir. Or Aggie Vision. Yep, heathclary.com. Go over there, get you one of these. Oh, yeah. And I have to say, as an Aggie and as a sports fan, I can't, I think you'll be happy with your decision to get it because it is a good book. Well,
I definitely was. And I appreciate you jumping on this call and being a part of this. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you hopefully when we're able to get together and not wear masks. So yeah, it'll be good. So I think we're hoping that we can get going back in June sometime. We're just kind of taking it day by day like everybody else. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, thank you, Logan, for letting me come on. I had a good time, and I was happy that your club asked some great questions.
All righty. Well, take care, Heath, and we'll see you soon.
All right, gig 'em.
Take care.